What if some of the ideas behind the Bible, the Quran, and even Western science were inspired by ancient African civilizations? For centuries, history books focused mostly on Greece, Rome, and the Middle East. But long before many of those civilizations rose to power, great African kingdoms were already studying astronomy, medicine, mathematics, and philosophy. Civilizations like ancient Egypt, Nubia, Kush, and Axum built universities, libraries, and temples dedicated to knowledge. Greek philosophers traveled to study there. Religious traditions developed in regions connected to Africa and the Near East. And scholars today continue debating how much influence these civilizations had on later religions and science. So why don't we hear more about these connections? Was knowledge lost, ignored, or simply overshadowed by later empires? In this video, we're diving into the hidden intellectual history of Africa and exploring how its ideas may have shaped the world we live in today. Stay until the end, because the final discovery may change how you see history forever. Before we dive into the main story, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting video like this. When people think about the origins of civilization, they often mention Greece or Rome. But thousands of years earlier, powerful civilizations already flourished along the Nile River. One of the most famous was ancient Egypt. Egyptians built pyramids aligned with the stars, practiced surgery, and developed one of the world's earliest writing systems, hieroglyphs. Scholars discovered medical texts like the Edwin Smith Papyrus, which described brain injuries and surgical treatments thousands of years ago. They also developed calendars based on astronomy. This shows that science and religion were deeply connected in early civilizations. But Egypt wasn't alone. South of Egypt, the kingdom of Kush built its own pyramids and advanced cities. And in East Africa, the empire of Axum became one of the most powerful trading civilizations of the ancient world. These societies were not isolated. They were connected to the Mediterranean and the Middle East through trade routes and cultural exchange. Many early religious traditions developed in regions where Africa, Asia, and the Middle East interacted. For example, the civilization of ancient Egypt had spiritual concepts that scholars sometimes compare with later religious ideas. Egyptians believed in one supreme creator in certain theological traditions, life after death, moral judgment of the soul. Some historians have compared these beliefs with themes found later in the Bible and the Quran, though scholars debate the level of influence. Another important connection is Ethiopia. The Ethiopian kingdom of Axum became one of the earliest Christian civilizations in the world in the 4th century. Its sacred text tradition includes the Kabra Nagast, which tells the story of the Queen of Sheba and her connection to Solomon. Meanwhile, Islamic history also connects deeply with Africa. One of the earliest safe havens for Muslims during persecution in Arabia was Abyssinia, modern Ethiopia. According to tradition, the Christian ruler known as Ashama ibn Abjar protected the first Muslim refugees. These stories show how Africa played a central role in the early history of major religions. Africa also became one of the world's great centers of learning. One famous example is Timbuktu in present-day Mali. Between the 13th and 16th centuries, Timbuktu hosted universities like Sankore University. Scholars there studied mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy. Thousands of manuscripts discovered in the Timbuktu manuscripts reveal sophisticated scientific and philosophical debates. These writings prove that advanced intellectual traditions existed in Africa long before European colonialism. Many Greek thinkers traveled throughout the Mediterranean world. One of them was Pythagoras, the mathematician famous for the Pythagorean theorem. Ancient writers like Herodotus claimed that Greek scholars visited Egypt to learn mathematics and philosophy. Another figure often mentioned is Plato, who wrote about Egyptian knowledge and traditions. Historians debate exactly how much influence Egypt had on Greek philosophy, but there is strong evidence of cultural exchange between civilizations. Since Greek philosophy later influenced European science, these exchanges are part of the broader story of intellectual history. So why do many people today know little about these connections? There are several reasons historians discuss. Colonial narratives. During the colonial era, European historians often emphasized European achievements while minimizing African contributions. Lost libraries. Conflicts and invasions destroyed many knowledge centers, including libraries in Timbuktu. Historical bias. Older historical research sometimes ignored sources written outside Europe. However, modern historians are increasingly studying African manuscripts and archaeology to better understand the past. Today, archaeologists and historians are re-examining Africa's role in global history. Research in places like Great Zimbabwe, Na culture, and Meroe is revealing sophisticated societies with complex technology and art. The more we learn, the clearer it becomes that human civilization has always been interconnected. Knowledge didn't belong to one continent. It moved across cultures through trade, migration, and shared ideas. But here's the real question. If ancient civilizations across Africa helped shape religion, philosophy, and science through centuries of cultural exchange, what other forgotten chapters of history are still waiting to be rediscovered? Hidden manuscripts, buried cities, lost libraries. The deeper historians dig into Africa's past, the more the story of world civilization continues to expand. And the next discovery could completely reshape what we think we know about human history. If you enjoy uncovering hidden history and forgotten civilizations, subscribe now. Because the next episode will explore the mysterious African kingdom that once controlled the world's gold trade and shocked medieval Europe. And trust me, that story is even more unbelievable. For more videos like this, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.